Hello, hello there. Here I am in the den. The den is where I do all my model railway and plot out my rides on my Royal Enfields, and sometimes I sit with my wife and work out the trips we're going to go on and film Sheringham and various places. I just thought I'd do a quick video today, piece to camera, so don't worry, I'm not going to do this all the time, so you won't have to look at this ugly old fizzog. Anyway, the thing is, today is a shout out to basically all the YouTubers who've helped me and inspired me to get my little channel running. I'll just explain something about the channel. This isn't a channel for the sake of becoming a YouTube influencer. Good God, no, that would be a silly thing. I don't want to influence anybody. that would just be silly. I mean, I've made all my own mistakes over the years, and I wouldn't want anyone to emulate them. So anyway, well, first of all, the channel. The channel is just basically as an adjunct, as it were, to my hobbies. As some of you know, I'm not in the best of health. Unfortunately, I've got severe emphysema, COPD, which means I can't walk without an aid, and a lot of times when we're out, I'm actually filming from a wheelchair. Just because I can't walk a practical length. I think about 15 yards is my limit with a stick. And that's on a good day, unfortunately. Well, these things in life come along and you just have to deal with it. Never say die is my motto. Never give up. So that's part of the reason for the channel. The other part is, well, as I say, it's an adjunct to my hobbies. I do my little model railway. I used to have quite a large model railway years ago in the place where I used to live. But it's been a while, family and stuff kept me busy, and so I've been without a model railway for a while. So having just retired, along with my wife, I decided to start building another model railway. Oh, it's getting a bit rainy out there. Better just shut the... This is what happens, you see. You finally sit down to make a video and it rains. And well, this is the conservatory, you see. So I hope the rain isn't getting too... Well, there you go, that's life, isn't it? At least, this is sort of, not contrived anyway. I've basically sat down with the camera and I'm just sort of reacting. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, I'm rambling now, as usual. Anyway, started building the model railway. As you have all seen, done some nice trips out. I go to Sheringham quite regularly with my wife. The reason being is I used to... my wife's family all come from around that way originally, and I was a ticket inspector on the Norfolk Railway on the steam trains, and I also passed as second man on diesels. Unfortunately, I never got to complete my training as a driver, which is probably another reason I've got the model railway. The other thing, really, well, I wasn't going out for a ride today, that's certain. Although I have just upgraded my GoPro camera to 256 SD cards, which brings me to the shout-outs. Right, the first two shout-outs have got to go to Saddlebag 73 and Don Coffey's Railway Channel. Saddlebags, bless him, and Don have given me invaluable information and advice on how to make little films and how to handle the equipment and stuff, which I'm still a bit of a novice at. The other thing, Saddlebags, along with the Bullet Wanderer, inspired me to finally pull the trigger and buy myself a Royal Enfield Bullet. And I haven't regretted it at all. I have 2 Royal Enfields, and I love both of them equally. They're both completely different bikes, and they're marvellous things to ride. Anyway, this weather seems to be determined to spoil my filming for today, but guess what? I'm not going to let it. I'm just going to shout a bit louder. Anyway, I'm planning on getting some nice little rides out during the summer. Again, most of the rides out will be during the summer in the nice weather, because once the temperature drops below 12 degrees Celsius, I tend not to be able to breathe very well. Conversely, when the temperature goes above 35 degrees, I find it difficult to breathe as well. So my temperate zone, as it were, is between, say, 12 and 35 degrees Celsius. That basically affects what I'm doing in my filming schedule. Probably not something that most people have to worry about. Anyway, so shout out to Saddlebag 73 and Bullet Wanderer for inspiring my choice of bikes. It's your fault, chaps. Something else, actually, I must credit Bullet Wanderer with, is putting me onto the Trip Machine tank bag, and it's like a tank bag that converts into a satchel, which is blooming handy for carrying a sandwich, a drink, and possibly my pipe and slippers. Anyway, that's another story. Right, who else have I got to shout out to? Right. Paul Henshaw. Paul Henshaw is known as the Royal Enfield Whisperer by some. He lives in a wonderful part of Wales, by the Black Mountain. I used to go there in my younger days on my motorbikes and enjoy riding all around there, and I've thoroughly enjoyed watching his back catalogue of videos of his test rides, his workshop videos where he strips Royal Enfields and other British motorcycle engines. My sort of engineer he is. Very nice chap. I've had some correspondence with him, and I look at his back catalogue of films with a sense of great nostalgia, because, as I say, I used to go for my holidays out that way. Pont Aber, I believe it was, Pont Aber Inn, I used to stay at with my motorcycle club all those years ago, and I used to have a thoroughly good time. Mind you, it should be said, it was always raining when I was there, but having seen Paul's videos, apparently the sun does shine there sometimes. Well, occasionally, and Paul's been lucky enough to actually document that on video, so I quite believe it now. It's just unfortunate the sun never came out when I was there. Oh, excuse me. Frog in my throat again. Now, who else? You know, it's funny, you sit and you plan all these things out, and as soon as you sit down with the camera, it goes right out of your head. Now, who else? Oh, yes. Mr. Bingley Wheeler, Esquire. Sort of chap I could get on with quite well. I watch his films. I enjoy his rides around Yorkshire. Yorkshire is somewhere I aspire to ride my bike at some point, health and wife permitting. I do know I've been saying to my wife for ages about going on holiday up to Yorkshire, and that's because weirdly I've not done it. Another chap who does very similar things is Lane's Explorer. Lane's Explorer is up north as well, and he does some marvellous rides around near the Settle Carlisle Railway. He takes in all the architecture and the scenery and gives us some personal history and also some other historical things. But he goes on such a nice gentle ride round the B roads. Some of the roads you would never normally think of going down. And that's just the sort of Royal Enfield riding I enjoy. And of course, his motorbike's named Hurricane Spitfire, just like mine. And we had to talk about that, and we decided that they're good names. And so Lane's Explorer has his northern hangar, and I've got my eastern wing hangar. So anyway, yes, I'm next RAF type, so I've got indoors. I've got model aeroplanes everywhere, which annoys the hell out of my wife because she calls them dust collectors. Funnily enough, she doesn't dust them. She dare, and that's my job. But I wouldn't let her anywhere near them, to be perfectly honest. I've got a lovely set of collectible Hobby Master fighter aircraft, 148 scale, beautiful. I will probably make a film about those at some point when I get round to it. And this is the other thing, when I get round to it, that's that's a thing around here, I'm afraid. As I say, it's mostly to do with health. Some days I plan to get stuff done and I'm just not up to it. But I don't give up. So eventually I get around to it. Now, speaking of not giving up, I noticed that Martin Trafford, the moorland biker, has now got back on the saddle after his rather serious back operation. I'm very pleased to see he's up and about again. That's marvellous, and again, he's another chap whose videos I enjoy immensely. When he rides around his locale where he was once Village Bobby, and tells of his time as a bus driver, coach driver as well. And he's a thoroughly nice chap as well. And he was very encouraging about my channel. And this is the one thing all these people have in common. I've been watching their films quite some time. They've inspired me. And also they've been very supportive and, and that's a good thing too. And it's marvellous, really. It's like YouTube has become a sort of, a sort of motorcycle club, or in my case, a motorcycle, railway and travel club all in one. It's given an extra dimension to what I'm doing with my hobbies. As I say, I'm not going to be making films for the sake of making films, but I did decide to make this one today because I wanted to thank all these people, and hopefully you'll head over to see their videos. And that brings me to a very special pair of chaps, because they're quite close to me. There's, first of all, the all-year motorcyclist, or Tame as he's also known. He lives just down the road from me in Bury St Edmunds, and he rides around his locale down in Suffolk, and I'm from the Suffolk family originally, so it's nice to see areas of Suffolk on his videos, and also he covers all sorts of subjects and has a natter about all sorts of things as well, so I always look forward to tuning in and seeing what he's been up to. And as my wife would say, he's a marvellous chap. And another splendiferous chap is young Andy over at The Adventures of Bella, the Enfield. Funnily enough, he's just changed bikes. He had a bit of a dalliance with an Interceptor, which, surprised me quite honestly, but he's now got himself a really nice Royal Enfield 350 Classic, and I thoroughly approve. And he lives over, out sort of north sort of Suffolk, what am I talking about? West Norfolk. We're Norfolk boys, oh dear. Anyway, he gets about over that side of the county, and of course I'm over this side of the county. Most of my rides will be Norfolk and Suffolk. I'll try and get some coast roads in and stuff like that. So I'm filling in a gap that nobody else seems to do, so that's nice as well. Because all these channels soon add up, with being in different parts of the country, down in Cornwall and Wales and up north across the northern counties, and now you're into Suffolk and some, I suppose there's got to be some in Essex. Surely there must be a YouTuber in Essex. I haven't found one yet, but... Oh, that reminds me, Exeter Rider as well. He's down in Cornwall, like him as well. Right, what else? Have I forgotten anybody? I probably have. But subsequently, if I remember that I've forgotten somebody, I will come back and try and remember. Oh, one other channel I just remembered, the Classic Motorcycle channel. That's quite good as well. Right, now, on the railway side of things, Don Coffey I mentioned earlier. Don works up north. I think he lives in Cheshire, or it could be Derbyshire actually. But he does cab ride videos on trains. So DMU trains, freight trains, Class 66s. He's got cameras going out all over the place and does some marvellous, absolutely marvellous videos. I've been a subscriber to his channel since he started, basically. And the other reason Don has become a good friend of his, I was very, very ill in 2019, and I was in hospital a fair bit. And Don kept in touch with me by email whilst I was ill, and he even went as far as to send me, when I couldn't get any Wi-Fi in the hospital, he even went as far as to send me a couple of his films on an SD card so that I could watch them while I was in hospital. So it's a very special shout out to Don. He's an absolutely lovely chap. He has it premiere roughly on once a month or there, and he brings out a new film, and they're quite lengthy films. But as a result of those lengthy films, I've been able to. I could probably find myself around up north quite easily just by going by the railway system. So, mind you, I'm kind of used to that, having been train crew myself. So, and Don still works on the railway. He's, I believe he works for Transpennine now, and I know he used to work for Northern. So anyway, if you're of the train persuasion, then check out his channel. It's rather good. And there's another chap. Tornado. I can't remember the number. I'll have to sort that out. But he does all sorts of modern train spotting stuff. And Les Gilpin. Les Gilpin's railway. I watch. He puts out at least two videos a week, sometimes more. And he does his train stuff up at mostly Carlisle. Which I find immensely satisfying because of the great variety of trains that he films up there. And I watch him avidly because I can't get out to do the train spotting thing as much as I would do. To be perfectly honest, at Yarmouth Station, there's only one type of train to spot, so, and going up to Norwich is a little impractical sometimes, but... And who else now? Somebody else. Oh, yes, Wales Rail. He covers Eastleigh and Westbury, I think it is, a lot of the time. And I thoroughly enjoy his films as well, because he specifically films a lot of shunting movements, which is quite, especially around Eastleigh. And he does marvellous footage of Class 08 shunters chugging around, and I have got a soft spot for the Class 8 shunter because it's such a marvellous little diesel shunter, and it's been around since before me, so and they're still going strong, and there's quite a few still on the network doing the job they were designed to do, and pretty much every preserved railway's got at least one of them. In fact, it was one of the locos I wanted to learn to drive. But as I say, that wasn't to be. But I am told, though, that if I went down the Watercress line, I could actually pay to have a drive of one. I might have to look into that one day. That might actually be a thing. That might actually be a special trip on the motorbike, maybe. Hold that thought. Anyway, we're now reached the 20-minute mark, which is probably by far the longest video I've done thus far. But, you know, I had a lot of people I wanted to shout out to and thank. So, look after yourselves, keep your shiny side up, and eat all the good food while you can, because you can't take it with you.